Farm for Profit Podcast. Take a listen, have a blast. Farm for Profit Podcast. Learn about farming while having a laugh. Farm for Profit Podcast.
Well, this is kind of fun. One of a What's Working in Ag segment shot out in the field, I guess on the road next to the field.
Yeah, it's the road show, it's the spray drone show, AgX show, it's everything in one.
Yeah, we've got Ben Westendorf here with AgX hanging out. You guys been partying this morning.
I don't know if this is partying. I mean,
we have different ideas of partying, I guess.
You walk outside and it rained another inch last night. We can't get ground rigs in the field. We still want to do trials, so I called Ben up. He wasn't doing much today. Well, I think I pulled him off of some other things.
You tell my boss I was really busy.
Yeah, so he brought his spray drone out. This is a DJI T40.
Yep.
Which is supposedly out of date, but still is great for trials.
It works really good for this. We were talking a little bit earlier. A year ago, this was pretty much the standard. Like a T40, T50s were everything.
Yep.
Now they have T60s, and I was with the guy a couple weeks ago, and that's like an 8330 John Deere, and this is like an old 4020, hell, maybe even old 70 John Deere.
Or a mini tractor.
Or a mini tractor.
like I've gotten into.
So talk a little bit about the trials that you guys are working on today before we dive into a little bit more about what you've been training your team on.
Yeah, so today we've been working on, we're right here, R2 timing on corn, working on like a fungicide application. So everything that Ag Explorer does goes in conjunction with what we're doing at that time. So here we're working on making sure that we're mitigating that late season stress. So we're using a product called Onward Max. It's got a 3-way PGR in it. Really, a couple things that it does. The biggest things that it does is reduces stress, so it stops that tip back. So when we think on corn, it works so hard to put all these like potential ovules on, and we're trying to make it so it doesn't tip those back.
Yep.
The other thing it does will increase chlorophyll content within the leaves, so we'll extend that grain fill period, which those two go hand in hand. So.
Yep. And what I've got, this is my field behind us here. Not corn on corn, it's a rotated field, and it's got manure on it. And what I have out here is strips that I put on with our post application of herbicide of Architect.
Yep.
So we're trying to see the effects of what Onward could do layered over Architect and no Architect.
Yeah, and if you missed that pass, that's exactly right. So we were talking, you know, at that V5 time we were putting it out there, that's when we're setting kernels around. So, okay, did we set kernels around, and then can we finish it off with Onward Max to make sure all those kernels around it set, can we finish them off? Or maybe we didn't set more kernels around, but we're gonna save them with, you know, a non-Architect pass.
Yep. So it's truly planning out your passes and what you want to learn.
Yep.
So obviously by the time this comes out, it's gonna be too late for you to go out and do this, but we're want you to know that we're actually doing the trial work and want to see it on my farm, not just taking someone else's word for it.
Yeah, we do. We want to see it in action, and it was really fun. About a couple weeks ago, we got to come up to one of your field days where you had a lot of your sales team present. And it was important for us to see that because it was a very standardized message that your whole team got to hear. Tell us a little bit about that field day.
So I think to summarize it is educate ourselves to educate others type of thing. So we wanted to all come in and have a standard message or takeaway that we're going to gather. So at that time, we were right at or just before tassel. The thing we want to focus on there is really two specific products, boron, moly. They're not sexy, they're not very fun to begin with, but they have a very important role in both corn and soybeans. And we wanted to take a plant, both the corn and soybean, we wanted to cut it open, talk about the role of boron in there, talk about the role of moly with using that nitrogen. Same thing on soybeans, we want to talk about cutting open those nodules on those root hairs, see if they're pink, see if they're fixing their own nitrogen. Moly is directly attributed and needed to feed those the nitrates or nitrogenase rather in the soil to make its own nitrogen. Yeah. So
when he says moly, he means molybdenum.
Yeah, but you're not going to get me to say that.
It's not the moly that's in some of the pop songs, you know, whatever like that. So.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. We're not popping one for sure.
No. So what you're talking about on this moly is it's not needed in a huge amount.
No, fractions,
but it just pairs well with the boron. And also what we learned was, from my aspect, was boron. What's the right timing for boron?
All the time.
All of the time. And why is that?
Because when we look at a demand curve, there's two different opportunities in a plant to be using boron, in a corn plant specifically. So if you look at a demand curve and I'll face the camera so we can make sense of this. On the vegetative stage, it is needed for plant growth. Literally, it is there so the plant elongates. And then it'll stop for a little bit. It doesn't stop using it, but the need is a little less. And then when it takes off again is when we're starting to mobilize nutrients out of the leaves and into the plant. So it's really needed there all year long.
Yep. And
So
so
was Molly the one that you were talking about? John was talking about it being finding one ping pong ball out of
Yeah.
a bunch of thousands.
3
of
parts
them?
per million. So if you take 3 million ping pong balls, spread them out in a field, close your eyes and start walking, trying to find one of those 3 ping pong balls blindly, do you think you could do it?
No,
Probably not.
but it's still extremely important.
No doubt. That was more of a thing as making sure we have it when we need it rather than putting it in the soil, say with your dry fertilizer application in the fall, making sure it's there when you do it.
Yep. So we weren't doing any nutritionals with this pass today, but what product would we be looking at to get that moly and boron out during that fungicide or later season nutritional pass?
So if we're looking at that boron and moly pass, which we are a lot of the times, it'll be very originally called boron duo. So it means it's boron and moly in there. But we were talking about this really extensively. We have had a lot of rain here in central Iowa. I don't know what you're at. I don't think I've kept track.
I quit counting.
It
But
was depressing.
It's over an inch every day.
It's excessive.
Yeah.
We have potentially lost a lot of nitrogen in the soil. So something we could think about coming back with was a foliar type of nitrogen. And now would be a perfect time to get that on if you have an airplane or a helicopter or a drone going out there and hitting it. The other thing that we're going to be looking at is sulfur as well. Sulfur is leachable in the soil. We don't think about that oftentimes. A lot of times we only think about the nitrogen. But if we can get some sort of foliar sulfur out there to green that plant up, and again, what we're doing there is extending that photosynthesis period.
Exactly, and it was a lot of fun for me to be able to sit there and sometimes you talked clearly over my head, but to be in the room and see your entire team be able to get the same message, get the same delivery, and start working on that same plan that you all put together.
We were at that field day. That was called what? Your road show?
So that was just our just an education plot day for our sales.
But you guys
reps.
do have a road show.
We do have a roadshow. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. We visited every sales rep that we have in every state, just talking crops, not talking products,
Yep.
just talking crops.
Between the road show and the field day that we came up to, what are your guys taking away from it?
There's some simple things that we can do that's not an expensive, $12, $15 an acre product, like talking about boron and moly, for instance. It has a real world impact and it's something the crop needs. And we're not talking much of an investment on a product like that. So let's get educated. Let's learn how they work inside of a plant, and go hit the fields with it.
Right.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about getting to the fields.
Well, Corey's probably has something to say about getting to the fields.
It's hard to get in the field this year unless you want to wear your mud boots every day and truck around.
Or we'll get this old girl.
That's really nice that we have this option, because normally I would be out with my high crop sprayer, going through doing the trials myself, but Ben is luckily bailing me out this year.
right.
So we're still going to have some good data. And I still am holding out that I can get in there, but man, we need at least 3 or 4 days without rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we've got our tiles just maxed right now, and it doesn't look like the forecast is any better. But obviously when this comes out, it's going to be a little bit too late in the season for you to really affect the crop. I know later and later feedings are very important. Seems to be trending that way, but as we look into our crop plan for 26 and beyond,
Yep.
what can we learn from this year and the trials that we're doing, so when we're making decisions this winter, that it's a lot easier? Because I know as a farmer, it's much easier to plan for this than to have that emotion in season to go, do I need it? Do I not? Is it going to ROI? Is it going to not?
So I think the one that's easiest to focus on is just reallocating money rather than investing more. Chances my banker's going to give me more money in a tough crop year are about that much.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, instead of spending all my money up front on potassium, sulfur, boron, or nitrogen or phosphorus, let's talk about breaking it up and giving it to when that plant needs it. So again, sulfur is a really important one. Instead of running elemental sulfur, maybe let's switch to something more available with your Y drop, and then maybe let's also focus on making a sulfur pass at V5 or even this R2 time frame.
Yeah.
That's really the thing that we're going to focus on going forward this next year.
So
Yeah.
look into some of your budgets, which talk to Tanner for that.
Well, I do love that this relationship with AgX has really made it a plan. It's not just we're going to throw products into the field. You have a step-by-step plan throughout the entire philosophy of the company that is meant to drive revenue.
Yep.
It is, and what I like about it is their education first, but by doing stuff like this, that going above and beyond, you know where your product works and you know where it doesn't. And I think not knowing where it doesn't work is probably more important than where it does.
Yep.
We were going to put a product, we were going to put on the Architect
Yep.
on a couple fields of my early corn, and it was past V5.
Yep.
And you said,
Don't
well,
do that.
Corey, I don't want to, not sell you a product, but I don't think that's your best chance for success.
That's right.
And so we allocated that to a different field it was at V4.
Yep.
So that to me was like, man, he's not just a salesman trying to sell me another product.
Yeah, we appreciate the relationship. I appreciate the two of you letting me come out and find you, watch this bad girl run.
Well, you're flying this thing next field.
Yeah,
I love
you get a ride on it. I'm probably light
Hop
enough.
on, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, thanks for taking the time,
bet.
listeners. That is what's working in ag.